Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video in which we will look at multiplying decimals. So we're going to actually do two things in this video. First, we're going to look at multiplying decimals by powers of 10. Then we're going to look at multiplying two decimals by each other. So what is a power of 10? Well, I mentioned this in the last video. A power of 10 is a number that's just 1 with a number of zeros. So 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, million. All of those numbers are powers of 10 because they have a 1 followed by a number of zeros. Numbers like 50, 200, 999, they are not powers of 10 because they're not just a 1 with a number of zeros. So the way that we multiply by 1 or 10 or 100, a power of 10, is different. It's actually so much simpler to do. When you're multiplying by a power of 10, you just move the decimal place to the right. The number of places you move it is the number of zeros in the power of 10. So if I'm doing 0.148 times 10, I'm timesing by a power of 10, so I'm just going to move this decimal point to the right. Because there's 1 0 in the power of 10, I'm going to move the decimal point 1 spot to the right. So that will make it 1.48. If I'm timesing by 100, I move the decimal point 2 points. 2 spots to the right. So then that makes it 14.8. If I'm multiplying by 10,000, there are 4 zeros. This is a power of 10. So I just move the decimal point 4 spots to the right. 1, 2, 3. Problem is I've run out of numbers. So what I need to do is I need to add in a 0 here. So I move the decimal point 1, 2, 3, 4 spots here, and the number becomes 1480. All right, let's now look at multiplying two decimals together. So when multiplying together two decimals, you firstly just forget about the decimal point, and then you decide how many decimal places should be in your answer. So if I'm doing 0.3 times 0.8, I'm going to start by just doing 3 times 8. Forget about the decimal points. So 3 times 8 is 24. Now in the question, there was 2 digits after the decimal point. So my answer has to have 2 digits after the decimal point. So I'm going to put the decimal point here, and I can just put the 0 in front. 0.24 is my answer. So let's try this one here. So firstly, I'm going to multiply 12 by 4. Forget about the decimal points. So 12 by 4 we know is 48. Now, in the question there were 2, 3 digits after the decimal place. So I need to have 3 digits after the decimal place in my answer. If I put the decimal point here, there are only 2 numbers after the decimal point. So I need to add in a 0. And if I put the decimal point there, I have 1, 2, 3 digits after the decimal point in my answer because I had 1, 2, 3 digits after the decimal point in my question. So this is my final answer and I'm done. So let's say I tell you that 332 times 108 is 35,856. We can use this to perform these calculations here. So what would be 3.32 times 10.8? Well, it's going to be the same as this, except I need to have 1, 2, 3 numbers after the decimal point. So the answer is going to have the exact same digits, but I want these 3 numbers to be after the decimal point. It will be 35.856. So how would I do this one here? Well, I'm going to have the same digits because it's 332 times 108. I'm going to have the same digits in my answer. But here, I want 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers after the decimal point. So counting up 1, 2, 3, 4, I want the decimal point to go here. Then there are 4 numbers after the decimal point. So how would I do this one here? Well, if 332 times 108 is that, then that means 3,320 times 108. It will be exactly the same, but it will have a 0 on the end. I've just times one of the numbers by 10. That's how I went from 332 to 3,320. So if I times one of the numbers by 10, then I need to times my answer by 10. And when you times a whole number by 10, you just add a 0 on the end. So this is what happens if I do 3 320 times 108. So if I do 3 320 times 1.08, there are 2 numbers after the decimal point in the question, so my answer needs to have 2 numbers after the decimal point. I put the decimal point there. Of course, it doesn't really matter if you write it like that or like this. These are the exact same number. All right, thank you so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.